Picture this. You're cruising through a logical reasoning section, you've nailed the first few questions, and your confidence is high. Then, boom, you hit a necessary assumption question. You read the argument, it seems fine, you look at the choices, and everything suddenly feels fuzzy. One sounds too obvious, another sounds too extreme, and another brings up something you never even thought about. You reread the stimulus again, and somehow it's even foggier than before. And that moment, the fog of the LSAT is not about intelligence, it's about visibility. You're obviously smart, you just can't see what's missing yet. And that's what we're going to talk about today, because there is one simple tool that cuts through that fog every single time. It's called the negation test. And by the end of today's class, you're going to know exactly how to use it to spot the right answer every single time. Now, the reason necessary assumption questions feel so tricky is because they don't ask what would prove the argument. They ask what the argument depends on, what it needs underneath to stand up. Think of an argument like a table. The conclusion is the tabletop, and the evidence, the premises, are the legs you can see. But the necessary assumption is the invisible leg holding it all together. And if you remove that invisible leg, the table collapses. And that is the job of a necessary assumption. It's not flashy, it's not obvious, but the whole argument depends on it. And that's why the negation test works so beautifully. It helps you find that invisible leg. Now, most students hear the word negation and they think they're looking for the opposite. And that's not exactly right, because opposites are somewhat emotional, but negation is logical. So the emotional opposite of happy would be sad, but the negation of happy is not happy. And not happy could be neutral, tired, annoyed, or bored, anything that is not specifically happy. And so negation doesn't really create the opposite emotion, it just flips the truth. If something was true, now it's not true. That's it. And that precision is what makes the negation test so powerful. Because the moment you flip a necessary assumption, the entire argument falls apart. Now, the way it works is that if you negate a statement and it destroys the argument, that statement was therefore necessary. And so if we see it in action, for example, we have an argument saying all LSAT students who make a mistake journal improve their scores. Therefore, making a mistake journal causes improvement. A possible assumption might be nothing else caused the improvement besides journaling. Now we negate it and say something else caused the improvement besides journaling. Boom, the argument's going to collapse because you're pulling the hidden leg out from under the table. And that is the essence of the negation test. If taking it away kills the argument, you've found the necessary assumption. Now, a lot of common negations involve quantifier words, number-related words. So these are what you're going to flip, and we're going to cover several of these today. The opposite of all, or the negation of all, is not all, or some are not. The negation of some is none, meaning not even one. The negation of none is some, meaning at least one. The negation of most is not most, meaning half or fewer. The negation of always is not always. The negation of never is sometimes. And the negation of exactly one is not exactly one, meaning it could be zero or it could be more than one. And the reason this matters is because if you can do these instantly, you're not going to spend 90 seconds stuck between two choices that both sound right. Now, negating conditional statements gets even tougher. If we have an original statement saying if A then B, to negate it, you break the conditional statement. You find one counterexample that violates the rule. So if the original says A requires B, to negate that, you would have A coexisting with negative B together. So for example, if you have a conditional saying, if a student studies daily, their score increases, the negation would be, we have a student who studied daily and their score did not increase, because that counterexample would destroy the original rule. So to apply this under real test day pressure, first you label the core. You find the conclusion, you mark it down, then you underline the premises, the evidence used to prove it. Then you name the gap. You ask yourself, what must be true for this conclusion to actually make sense? That is the assumption. Then the third step, you eliminate anything extreme, words like always, never, must, or guaranteed. You knock out choices that add brand new ideas, and you knock out choices that just restate a premise. Then you run the negation test. You take your top 2 finalists and you negate each one. If negating it breaks the argument, you have found the underlying necessary assumption. Now, a couple of common mistakes would be first, over-negating, looking for polar opposites. The negation of loving coffee is not hating coffee. It would be not loving coffee. Second trap is extreme language. So if you have always, never, every, guaranteed, likely too strong to be necessary, you want more moderate language, more likely to have been required by the stimulus than more extreme language would be. Next big mistake is mixing up sufficiency and necessity. A sufficient assumption proves the argument, and a necessary assumption is required in order for the argument to work. Fourth big mistake is an out-of-scope answer. If the argument's about LSAT tutors, for example, an answer about teachers or college students isn't really necessary. It's going beyond the scope, beyond the topic that we were covering. And so we're going to cover several negation drills today as an exercise. If you're watching on Instagram, please join us over on YouTube, where we can go over the drills together. Due to limitations of Instagram, we can't really display the questions properly there. So YouTube, or if you're on TikTok, welcome. That's the best place to join us as well. We're diving in with question number 1. We're going to kick it off right now with number 1. When you have your answer, please drop it in the chat, A, B, C, or D. If you're not sure, just drop a question mark, but do commit to something. 1. All associates in suits review briefs before submitting filings. What is the negation? What is the logical negation of this statement? A, all associates. A, some associate reviews every brief long before any filing. B, all associates sometimes review briefs after submitting their filings. C, some associate submits a filing without reviewing its brief. Or D, associates usually review briefs before or after submitting filings. When you have your answer, please drop it in the chat, A, B, C, or D. If you're not sure, just drop a question mark, but do commit to an answer. Commit now, since you'll have to commit on test day. And so again, the opposite, the negation of all is not all, meaning some do not. So the pre-phrase or prediction here would be either not all associates review or some associates do not. I see most folks saying C. C is in fact correct. You all nailed it. Osvaldo, Zuli, Passion, Michael, Valentina, Autumn, Luke, Edward, all saying C as in Charlie. The answer is in fact C. Well done. Some associate does not review before submitting. Well done, folks. On to number 2. All reviewers in suits analyze briefs before submitting any revisions. Let's negate this. Most reviewers analyze briefs before submitting any revisions. B, no reviewer analyzes briefs before submitting any revisions. C, some reviewer submits revisions without analyzing any briefs. Or D, reviewers analyze briefs only after all revisions are submitted. When you have your answer, please drop it in the chat, A, B, C, or D. If you're not sure, just drop a question mark, but do commit to an answer. So the original says all reviewers analyze briefs before submitting. Negation, not all reviewers analyze, meaning some reviewer does not analyze. See a ton of folks dropping in the chat. Choice C as in Charlie. Edward, let's see, we got Michael, Edward, Osvaldo, Jolene, Zuli, Autumn, Valentina, Luke, Passion, all saying C. C is in fact correct. Zuli says regarding the last one, it's what happens when I don't read. That's exactly right. It's all about just reading the text. And so whenever someone asks me, why isn't it A, why isn't it B, why isn't it whatever, let's go back to the text of the argument of the statement, and therein we will find our explanation, our reason why. So KD says Charlie, C for Charlie. Yes, in fact, C as in Charlie is correct. Well done. Some reviewer submits without analyzing. Well done. On to number 3. Some associates in Better Call Saul verify case files without confirming any related findings. Let's negate this statement. A, no associates verify case files without confirming related findings. B, most associates verify case files without confirming related findings. C, some associates avoid verifying either case files or findings. Or D, some associates confirm findings before reviewing any case files. When you have your answer, please drop it in the chat, A, B, C, or D. If you're not sure, just drop a question mark. So original says some associates verify without confirming. Opposite of some is none, meaning no one. So any choice saying most, probably not going to be right. So you wouldn't want to choose B for this one, certainly. You'd probably want to choose something saying no or none. Opposite of some is none. And of course, only choice A says that. So the answer is in fact A. Ton of folks got it. Jolene, Edward, Katie, Valentina, Autumn, Osvaldo, Passion, Zuli, all saying A. Luke saying A. Michael saying A. Well done. The answer is in fact A. No associates verify is the negation because the original said some associates verify. Well done. On to number 4. Most classmates studying with L. Woods finalize outline summaries before notifying any assigned editors. Let's negate this. A. Some classmates notify editors before finalizing any outline summaries. B. No classmates finalize outlines before notifying any editors. C. Exactly half the classmates finalize outlines before notifying editors. Or D. At most half of the classmates finalize outlines before notifying editors. So we're negating the word most. Most means more than half. Giving you a little clue. I'll give you all a minute to look through this one. A little bit tricky. So think to yourself really technically here. Really technically, what is the negation of most? What is the negation of a majority? Most classmates finalize. If we wanted to boil this down, summarize it into its essence, most classmates finalize. Opposite of most is not most, or less than a majority. Less than a majority would be exactly half or less than half. So D as in delta, at most half means we're not crossing the 50% threshold. Most would be more than 50%. Think of it as 51% or 50.0001%. We're looking for less than that. So yes, D as in delta is in fact the answer, telling us less than a majority, at most half. So half or fewer. So D as in delta here is in fact the answer. Again, we want logical opposite, not polar opposite. So B as in Bravo saying no is far too extreme. We want more moderate. D as in delta captures or captures that or articulates it fully. So I see Osvaldo got it. Autumn got it. D as in delta is in fact correct. Well done, folks. This one was a bit trickier. So no worries if you got this one wrong. But again, just think really technically, what is the negation of a quantifier word? Most being majority. We're saying not majority. D articulates that fully. And by the way, if you ever want to talk through any of these, you can book a free LSAT tutoring lesson with me personally at unpluggedprep.com/start. Link below the video on YouTube, link in my bio on TikTok. On to number 5. No paralegals working with ChemK record observations during ongoing evaluations. Let's negate this statement. A, some paralegals with ChemK skip every evaluation. B, some paralegals with ChemK record observations during evaluations. C, all paralegals with ChemK avoid recording observations entirely. Or D, no paralegals with ChemK record observations after evaluations. So when you have your answer, please drop it in the chat, A, B, C, or D. If you're not sure, just drop a question mark, but do commit to an answer. So original says no one. Opposite of no one or none would be some or at least one. So right away, you could knock out choice C as in Charlie or D as in Delta because they're not saying some. C is saying all, D is saying no. We want something saying some. So opposite of nobody recording is saying somebody's recording. B as in Bravo tells us somebody is recording. B as in Bravo is in fact the answer. A ton of you got it. Zuli, Anne, Valentina, Michael, Osvaldo, Passion, Edward, Autumn, no, all saying B. B as in Bravo is in fact correct, folks. Well done. We're 5 in so far. Out of these 5, please drop in the chat how many you got right out of the number that you did. Give us a sense, give us a gauge of where you stand right now in terms of your accuracy, so I have a better sense of how to adjust the difficulty level going forward. Y'all are doing great. Edward got 4 out of 5. Passion got 4 out of 5. Fantastic. Y'all are nailing it. I know the last one was a little bit tricky. Luke got 4 so far. Autumn got 5 for 5. Congrats. You got the tough one as well. Great. Osvaldo's 5 for 5 as well. Awesome. You guys are doing great. Let's keep going on to number 6. If Harvey's consultants assess trial strategies, then researchers in suits document resulting recommendations. So let's negate this statement. A, researchers document recommendations whenever consultants assess trial strategies. B, some consultants rarely assess trial strategies for any matters. C, some assessed trial strategies lack documented recommendations from researchers. Or D, all trial strategies receive documented recommendations from researchers. So when you have your answer, please drop it in the chat, A, B, C, or D. If you're not sure, just drop a question mark, but do commit to an answer. You may have noticed today's questions are a little bit trickier. I've been getting some complaints that the ones we've been doing in the previous weeks are a little bit too easy, so I thought I would level it up a little bit. I know we've covered negation a couple times already, so I thought it might be appropriate, but if you're seeing your accuracy drop, don't worry. It's not you, it's the difficulty of the questions, but I know that a lot of you are still doing great despite that, so I'm glad to see it. I see a ton of folks dropping answers in the chat. This question here is a conditional statement. So to negate a conditional, we negate the relationship between the sufficient and the necessary. So we want to see how is it possible for the sufficient to occur, yet for the necessary to not occur. So we want a situation where the consultants assess, yet the researchers do not have documented resulting recommendations, which is exactly what choice C as in Charlie says. And I see a ton of folks got it. Osvaldo, Autumn, Passion, Michael, Valentina, No, Edward, Luke, and all saying C as in Charlie. C as in Charlie is in fact correct. Well done. On to number 7. Most paralegals in Better Call Saul verify citations before approving any file. What is the logical negation here? A, many paralegals verify citations before approving any file. B, at most half the paralegals verify citations before approvals. C, every paralegal verifies citations before approving any file. Or D, few paralegals ever approve files without checking citations. So when you have your answer, please drop it in the chat, A, B, C, or D. If you're not sure, just drop a question mark, but do commit to something. So I see a lot of you got it right. Awesome. Thinking back to the last question we did involving the word most meaning majority or more than half. Negation of most is not a majority or half or fewer, meaning at most half, which is exactly what choice B as in Bravo says. B says at most half, meaning less than a majority. 50% or fewer, ton of folks got it. Anne, Edward, Jolene, Katie, Passion, Michael, Valentina, Autumn, Osvaldo, Zuli, Luke, all saying B. B is in fact correct, folks. Well done. On to number 8. Some classmates studying with L. Woods check outlines before notifying study partners. What is the negation? A, no classmate studying with L checks outlines before notifying. B, classmates usually check outlines while notifying their study partners. C, many classmates review outlines after notifying their study partners. Or D, every classmate checks outlines without notifying any study partner. So the original says some. The negation of some would be none or 0. So a choice saying many or usually, like B and C do, probably not going to be right. We basically were to limit it now down to the core subject verb. Some check before or some check. Negation of some check is no one checks. And that's exactly what choice A says. No one checks. No classmate checks outlines before notifying, which is choice A. Ton of folks got it. Valentina, Michael, Edward, Passion, Jolene, Anne, KD, Luke, Osvaldo, Zuli, Autumn, all saying A. A is in fact correct. Well done, folks. You all are doing great. On to number 9. If reviewers in suits compare case notes, assistants record observations. What is the logical negation here? A, assistants always record observations before reviewers compare case notes. B, If assistants record observations, reviewers have compared case notes. C, reviewers rarely compare case notes with any other reviewers. Or D, sometimes reviewers compare case notes and assistants record nothing. So again, a conditional, a little bit tougher. To negate a conditional statement, you negate or destroy the relationship between sufficient and necessary. So you want to have a situation where the sufficient occurs, yet the necessary does not occur. So we want a situation where reviewers compare case notes, yet assistants do not record observations. That's our pre-phrase, what we're looking for in the negation. And exactly one choice says that, which is, of course, choice D as in Delta. I see a lot of you got it. Awesome. Luke, Osvaldo, Jolene, Passion, Valentina, Michael, Autumn, Zuli, Anne, all saying D. D is, in fact, correct. That's a situation where we had reviewers comparing case notes, yet assistants recording nothing, meaning they didn't record anything. Well done. On to number 10. No study partners working with Kim K approve summaries without examining annotations. What is the logical negation here? A, every study partner carefully examines annotations before any summary. B, some study partner approves a summary without checking annotations. C, few study partners approve summaries after examining detailed annotations. Or D, no study partners approve summaries regardless of annotations reviewed. When you have your answer, please drop it in the chat, A, B, C, or D. If you're not sure, just drop a question mark, but do commit to an answer. Again, the opposite of none or no study partners would be some study partners or at least one study partner. So a choice saying few, probably not going to be right. We want ideally some. A choice saying all or every is more like a polar opposite, an extreme. We want more moderate, logical opposite, not polar opposite, opposite of some, opposite of none or no one being some or at least one, which is what B as in Bravo says. No study partners when negated becomes some study partner. B as in Bravo. Tony, you got it. Autumn, Valentina, Jolene, Osvaldo, Anne, Katie, Edward, Zuli, Passion, Michael, Luke, Edward. Luke all saying B as in Bravo. B as in Bravo is in fact correct. Well done. We're 10 in so far out of these first 10. Please drop in the chat how many you got right out of the number that you did. If you got 10 for 10 or you came late, did 8 for 8, whatever you got, give me an update. Give us an update on where you stand. Question from Passion here asking, I think I'm getting confused with the level of negating I need to do. I sometimes think I need to negate both parts of the question. Does that make sense? I don't even know what I'm saying. So no, I think you do know what you're saying. I think it's a fair question. You want to be really careful when you're negating, right? So you're not just basically crossing out everything and going for the polar extreme or the polar opposite. You're going for the logical opposites. You basically want to put a big knot across the entire thing, but not negating every little individual part. So if you say, every day Steve eats pizza, you'd want to say, not every day Steve eats pizza, or there are some days Steve does not eat pizza. But you wouldn't say, not every day Steve does not eat pizza, because that becomes kind of nonsensical. And then you get into double negative territory where a double negative actually becomes a positive and you end up in the same place. So the simplest thing to do is just, as we're doing these exercises, just negate the quantifier word, and that's going to get the job done. So to go back to this example in front of us, still number 10, no study partners approve summaries. You want to say at least one study partner approves summaries, or some study partner approves a summary. But you're not going to negate 10 by saying some study partners do not approve summaries, because that gets into a weird otherworldly territory that is not accurate. So if you want an example, just look at what we've been doing. Like for number 10, B as in Bravo is the proper negation. All we're doing is we're taking no and turning it into some. And I see you're all doing great, including you, Passion. You got 9 out of 10. That's awesome. So you're pretty solid on these overall. I think just don't overthink it, is what I'm saying. Passion 9 for 10, Edward 9 for 10, Michael 9 for 10, and 6 for 6. Jolene 8 out of 10, pretty solid. Autumn 10 for 10. Luke says, don't negate the if part. That's also a solid piece of advice there as well. So when you're dealing with conditional statements, you're not negating the if or the sufficient condition. You are negating the relationship between the sufficient and the necessary, which is the word requires. So if you have A arrow B, or if A then B, you're not dealing with A or B specifically, you're dealing with the word requires. So if you have A requires B, to negate it, you simply say A does not require B. And Luke is giving an example as well. If it's raining, Luke has his umbrella. So that's good of you, Luke, to plan ahead. And so with this example that Luke gave us here, we're not negating raining and we're not negating umbrella or Luke. We're negating the relationship. So we're saying it is possible for it to be raining, yet Luke to not have his umbrella. So there might be a situation where it was raining and Luke did not have his umbrella. If we could find that situation, that would invalidate or disprove the conditional, destroying its validity. So all we've got to find is one counterexample to that situation. But imagine a statement, raining arrow umbrella, or I'll just actually put that in the chat here, raining arrow umbrella or R arrow U. If we have that, we're basically putting a slash through the arrow itself. And we're saying raining does not guarantee umbrella, or we would say, I'll put this in the chat as well, R not arrow U. So we're putting a slash through the arrow itself. But great question, and great example, Luke, as well. Thank you for bringing that up. Let's go on to number 11 here. Number 11, all suits analysts review some drafted briefs before any assistants evaluate related materials. Let's negate this statement. A, no suits analysts ever review any drafted briefs whatsoever. B, some suits analyst fails to review drafted briefs first. C, some assistants evaluate related materials after analysts review everything. Or D, all suits analysts always review every drafted brief carefully. So when you have your answer, please drop it in the chat, A, B, C, or D. If you're not sure, just drop a question mark, but do commit to an answer. Give you all a minute to drop them in here. This one's a little bit more complicated, perhaps. So the original says all suits analysts review. To negate that, we want to say there is some analyst who does not, or not all analysts review. Not all review, or some do not review. And B as in Bravo says some fails to review. That's the same as saying some do not review. So B as in Bravo is in fact the answer. A ton of folks got it. Anne, Zuli, Osvaldo, Luke, Michael, Passion, Valentina, all saying B as in Bravo. Autumn says B as well. B is in fact correct. Well done, folks. Doing great. On to number 12. Most Better Call Saul reviewers check each case file whenever any editors identify issues requiring additional verification. Let's negate this statement. A, some reviewers do not check those files at all. B, editors rarely identify issues needing any additional verification. C, most reviewers always check those files when editors flag issues. Or D, at least half the reviewers skip checking those files. So again, we have most in the original, most meaning a majority. Opposite of most or majority is not a majority, or half or fewer. We got some folks dropping the answer in the chat here. You all nailed it. These most examples got you all cleared up on this. So Luke says D, Zuli says D, Valentina, Osvaldo, Autumn, Jolene, Michael, and Edward all saying D as in Delta. D as in Delta is in fact correct. So opposite of most is not a majority. And so that means that to negate that, we want to say at least half skip checking the files, which would make it impossible for us to have a majority. So be careful of these majority related ones in particular. They get a little bit trickier. Again, most means majority. So to negate that, we want to say not a majority or fewer than half in the original would be how we negate it. So if we learned in D as in Delta, at least half skip checking the files, it would be impossible for a majority to have checked each individual file. And so KD, I see a question from KD regarding the previous one. We're not going backwards on these questions just to keep it going forward and keep the momentum up for everybody. But if you ever want to discuss any of these examples, you can book a free LSAT tutoring lesson with me personally at unpluggedprep.com/start. Link below the video on YouTube, link in the bio on TikTok. And so Luke is asking here, wouldn't no reviewers also negate? So we're looking specifically here for logical negations. This is the exercise we're working on here. And so the opposite of most would be not most or not a majority or fewer than half. And so D as in delta is the cleanest example here for what we're looking for in a logical negation. It's possible to find other things that cannot be true based on the example, but specifically here, we're looking for the logical negation of the original given the information that we have. And it's okay to ask about previous ones, but we'll save that a context for a personal call to discuss in more depth if you'd like. On to number 13 to keep it going. Some legally blonde researchers verify all class notes before consultants prepare summaries for further assessment. What is the logical negation? A, no legally blonde researchers verify all class notes before summaries. B, all legally blonde researchers verify all class notes early. C, some legally blonde researchers verify some notes before summaries. Or D, consultants delay preparing summaries for further assessment today. When you have your answer, please drop it in the chat, A, B, C, or D. If you're not sure, just drop a question mark, but do commit to something. So when we have some, that means at least one. The opposite of some is none, meaning zero. And so if you see a choice saying all, probably not going to be right. If you see a choice saying some, also probably not going to be right. The only choice here saying no or none is choice A, and I see a ton of you got it. Anne, Valentina, Autumn, Jolene, Anne, Zuli, Passion, Luke, Michael, Osvaldo, all saying A. A is in fact correct. And by the way, KD, if your question on conditionals, you want to bring it up later when we have another conditional example, feel free. On to number 14. If any associates working with Kim K submit revised drill sets, then all reviewers re-examine the accompanying annotations immediately. What is the logical negation here? A, if all reviewers re-examine annotations, some associates submit drills. B, no associates submit revised drills while reviewers work today. C, some associates submit revised drills, some reviewers delay re-examining. Or D, whenever associates submit revised drills, all reviewers re-examine annotations. So again, here we have a conditional statement. To negate a conditional, you negate the relationship between sufficient and necessary. So you basically want to say, there's a situation where we have the sufficient occurring, yet the necessary condition did not logically follow. If we have that one counterexample, that disproves the conditional relationship and negates the original statement, making that conditional fall apart, rendering it invalid. So again, the sufficient here, any associates working with Kim submit revised drill sets. So we have a situation where they submitted revised drill sets. To negate that, we want to have a case where not all reviewers re-examined immediately, or some reviewers did not re-examine immediately. This one's a little bit trickier, so take your time. So back to KD's question, I think it's a good time to bring it up since we're back on a conditional here. KD asks, I just wanted to confirm briefly for conditional statements, don't negate the if part, rather negate the relationship between the sufficient and necessary assumption. Yes, so I'll rephrase this a little bit. We're not negating the individual variables, meaning we're not negating either the sufficient condition or the necessary condition. We are negating the arrow itself. We are negating the requirement. And so I think you mean conditions rather than assumption. I just want to be clear on language for everybody. But yes, we are negating the requirement or the relationship. And so to put this in simple if-then terms, if submit, then re-examine. We want a situation where they submit, yet reviewers did not re-examine immediately. That would negate the relationship. So again, to put it in super simple or oversimplified terms, original says submit, then re-examine. So I'll diagram this as S requires R in its original form. To negate that conditional, we negate the arrow itself. We cross out the arrow and say we have a situation where they submitted, yet we did not have the re-examining occurring immediately. That would be the negation or the logical opposite. So the answer here, by the way, for those wondering, is choice C as in Charlie, where we have a situation where some associates submitted, yet some reviewers delayed re-examining. They did not re-examine immediately. I see a lot of folks got it. Autumn says C. Edward changes to C. Passion says C. Osvaldo, Michael, Valentina, Zuli, Anne, Luke, all saying C. C is in fact correct. Well done, folks. This one was a little bit trickier. On to number 15. No suits assistants approve any draft motions unless researchers have already confirmed every referenced source. What is the logical negation? A. Whenever assistants approve draft motions, every referenced source is confirmed. B. Some suits assistant approves a draft motion without confirmed sources. C. If researchers confirm every source, assistants approve all motions. Or D. Researchers postpone confirming some referenced sources for later review. When you have your answer, please drop it in the chat, A, B, C, or D. If you're not sure, just put a question mark. So the original here says no, meaning nobody or zero. Opposite of none is some or at least one. And so a statement saying whenever, a statement saying if, like A and C, both of those are probably going to be a little bit too extreme. We want a some as the logical opposite of none. And so B as in Bravo is in fact correct. I see a ton of you got it. And Luke, Passion, Osvaldo, Edward, Valentina, Jolene, Autumn, Zuli, all saying B. Michael saying B. B is in fact correct. Well done, folks. We're 15 in so far. Out of these first 15, please drop in the chat how many you got right out of the number that you did. Just give us all a gauge on where you're at in terms of your accuracy so I know how to adjust difficulty for these going forward. Y'all are doing great on these. Love to see it. Passion is 13 for 15. Awesome, pretty high accuracy considering the difficulty of today's drills. Michael got 14 for 15. Edward is 13 for 15. Luca got 14. Valentina got 14. Zuli got 12. Y'all are doing great considering how hard these are. On to number 16. All partners evaluate drafts before any associates annotate them in suits. What is the logical negation? A, no partner ever evaluates any draft at all. B, some partner lets associates annotate drafts before evaluation. C, partners usually evaluate drafts long after associates annotate. Or D, every associate annotates drafts only after partner evaluation. When you have your answer, please drop it in the chat, A, B, C, or D. If you're not sure, just drop a question mark. But do commit to an answer. Note as a hint, the opposite of all is not all, meaning some do not. And note that, by the way, choice A is more like a polar opposite. That's more like you're just negating every single word in the passage, right? So all becomes no, and it's too extreme. We want more moderate. And so opposite of all is not all, or some do not. So in the case of B, that's providing the counter example to the rule in the passage. So B is in fact correct. I see Luke, KD, Anne, Passion, Osvaldo, Autumn, Michael, Zuli, Edward all saying B. B is in fact correct. Well done, folks. On to number 17. Some analysts in Better Call Saul verify briefs containing errors. What is the logical negation here? A, all analysts verify briefs that never contain errors. B, some analysts ignore every brief that contains errors. C, most analysts verify only drafts, not finalized error-filled briefs. Or D, no analysts verify any briefs containing errors there. When you have your answer, please drop it in the chat, A, B, C, or D. If you're not sure, just drop a question mark. So original says some. Logical opposite of some is none, meaning zero. And so a choice saying some or most, like B and C, probably not going to be right. We want the none, ideally. And so D as in Delta is the only choice that says none or no analysts. So D is in fact correct. I see Edward, KD, Passion, Anne, Autumn, Osvaldo, Zuli, Michael all saying D. D is in fact correct. Luke says D as well. D is right. Well done, folks. On to number 18. Most reviewers approve revisions submitted by selected paralegals in suits. What is the logical negation here? Original says most. You all know the drill by now. Most means majority. Negation is not a majority, meaning half or fewer. We're looking for the choice that says half or fewer, or essentially the same thing. I'll give folks a minute on this one. But the answers are coming in. Y'all got it. The choice is in fact A, at most half, meaning not a majority. Half is the max because anything above that would be a majority or more than half. So KD says A, Anne says A, Michael, Passion, Autumn, Luke, Osvaldo, Zuli all saying A. A is in fact correct. Well done. Edward says A. Nice. On to number 19. No consultants in Legally Blonde reference evidence omitted by classmates. What is the logical negation? A, all consultants avoid evidence omitted by their classmates. B, classmates rarely provide evidence for any consultants to reference. C, some consultants reference evidence omitted by classmates there. Or D, no classmates ever omit any evidence for consultants. When you have your answer, please drop it in the chat, A, B, C, or D. If you're not sure, just drop a question mark, but do commit to something. Original says no. Opposite of none is some or at least one. So a choice saying all, like choice A, too extreme. A choice saying no, like choice D, is also too extreme. We want moderate. Opposite of none is some or at least one. Choice C fits that best, of course. I see a ton of you got it. Osvaldo, Anne, Katie, Autumn, Luke, Zuli, Passion, Edward, Michael, all saying C. Well done. Luke says no would falsify, but it's too strong to be the negation. Again, yeah, we're looking for the logical opposite, the proper negation of the original. We're not looking for simply cannot be true. We want more specifically the logical opposite of the statement in the original for these drills. On to number 20. Well done, folks. Another conditional now. If authors finalize outlines, then study partners compile the corresponding sections for Kim K. What is the logical negation here? A, every author finalizes outlines with partners compiling sections. B, some author finalizes outlines without partners compiling sections. C, no author ever finalizes any outline at all. Or D, study partners compile sections without finalized outlines sometimes. So what is the logical negation of this conditional statement? Again, to negate the conditional, you negate the requirement, specifically the relationship between the evident, the sufficient, and the necessary condition. So in this case, we want a situation where authors finalize outlines, yet study partners did not compile the corresponding sections for Kim K. I see a ton of you got it. The answer is in fact B as in Bravo. Well done. Autumn got it. Edward, Michael, Anne, Passion, Luke, Osvaldo, Zuli, all got it. The answer here is in fact B as in Bravo, providing the counterexample. For a counterexample, all we need is at least one or someone, a single person even, to be enough to disprove the rule. So we're 20 in so far. Out of these first 20, please drop in the chat how many you got right out of the number that you did. I see Passion is 18 for 20. Edward is 18 for 20 as well. Awesome, you all are doing great. And by the way, folks, if you find these classes helpful, we teach them every single weekday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 Central, 11 Pacific, same time as right now. If you find them helpful, please spread the word. The only way this grows is through word of mouth. I don't do any advertising for these, and the algorithm doesn't really boost lives because they can't run ads during them. And so please help spread the word. The more this grows, the more people show up, the more I will keep doing these and expand them over time. Really appreciate your support. If you could share this in your group chats, your forums, your Slacks, or wherever you connect with others, Discord, any forums you know of, happy to really appreciate your support. On to 21. All paralegals in suits review briefs before approving any filing. What is the logical negation? A, no paralegals ever review briefs before approving filings. B, some paralegals approve filings without reviewing briefs first. C, some filings are approved after multiple separate brief reviews. Or D, all paralegals review briefs long before any filing appears. When you have your answer, please drop it in the chat, A, B, C, or D. If you're not sure, just drop a question mark, but do commit to an answer. Original says all. Logical opposite of all is not all, or some do not. So that is the prediction or prephrase, what you want to be looking for in the choices. So if the original says all paralegals review, negation is some paralegals do not review. And that is exactly what B as in Bravo says. I see a ton of folks got it. Zuli says B. Michael, Autumn, Osvaldo, Katie, Luke, all saying B. B is in fact correct. Well done, folks. You all are doing great on these. And by the way, if you ever want to go over harder questions, you can book a free LSAT lesson with me. We can go over one together. I know these are a little bit easy and oversimplified just for a beginner level friendliness here. On to 22. Most reviewers in Better Call Saul check every case file before assistants generate notes. What is the logical negation? Choice A, all reviewers check every file before assistants generate notes. B, most reviewers rarely check files before assistants generate notes. C, some reviewers never check any files before assistants draft notes. Or D, no more than half of reviewers check every file before notes. So when you have your answer, please drop it in the chat, A, B, C, or D. If you're not sure, just drop a question mark, but please do commit to an answer. You all got it by now. Opposite of majority or most is not a majority or maximum half. D as in Delta is in fact correct. Passion, Edward, Anne, Michael, KD, Luke, Autumn, Osvaldo, Zuli all saying D as in Delta. D is in fact correct. Well done. On to number 23. Some analysts studying with Kim K verify conclusions after study partners complete initial outlines. What is the logical negation? A, some analysts verify conclusions before partners complete initial outlines. B, no analysts with Kim K verify conclusions after partners outline. C, some analysts never verify conclusions after partners finish initial outlines. Or D, most analysts verify conclusions soon after partners outline drafts. When you have your answer, please drop it in the chat, A, B, C, or D. If you're not sure, just drop a question mark, but do commit to an answer. Commit now, since of course you'll have to commit on test day as well. Get it wrong now, so you don't get it wrong on test day. Do choose something. Opposite of some in the original is none in the answer. And so a choice saying most, probably not going to be right. We want ideally a choice saying no or none, which is what B as in Bravo says. And I see a ton of you got it. Anne, Passion, Osvaldo, Michael, Luke, Edward, Autumn, KD, Zuli all saying B as in Bravo. B is in fact correct. Well done. On to 24. If L. Woods finalizes revisions, then classmates submit updated drafts promptly. What is the logical negation? A, L never finalizes revisions when classmates submit drafts promptly. B, if classmates submit drafts promptly, L finalizes revisions later. C, L finalizes revisions and classmates do not submit drafts promptly. Or D, most classmates submit drafts promptly whenever L requests revisions. So we have here a conditional statement. To negate the conditional, you negate the requirement itself. And so we want a situation where L finalized revisions, yet classmates did not submit updated drafts promptly. Look for a choice saying exactly that. And of course, that is what C says. C as in Charlie is in fact correct. Ton of you got it. Zuli, Autumn, Luke, Anne, Edward, Michael, Passion, Osvaldo, all saying C. Zuli says C. C is in fact correct. Well done. So Luke is asking a question here regarding quantity words. Is a few equivalent to some in LSAT logic? Yes, both in LSAT logic and I would argue also in real world logic. A few means more than one, so effectively it becomes the same where you have some, you have a couple, maybe more, possibly a ton, possibly all. It's vague, it's open-ended, but yes. On to number 25 now. No associates in suits endorse proposals that paralegals have not previously examined. What is the logical negation here? A, all associates endorse proposals paralegals thoroughly examined earlier. B, most associates reject proposals paralegals never previously examined. C, some associates review proposals paralegals examined many times. Or D, some associates endorse proposals paralegals never previously examined. When you have your answer, please drop it in the chat, A, B, C, or D. Opposite of no or none is some or at least one. So choice A saying all, more like a polar opposite, too extreme, not going to be our answer here. B says most, doesn't really line up as an opposite for the word no. We want some or at least one, which D as in Delta says. Some endorse because the original said none of them endorse. So D is the answer. Well done. A ton of you got it. Zuli, KD, Luke, Anne, Passion, Osvaldo, Autumn, Michael, all saying D. D is in fact correct. Well done, folks. So we're 25 in so far. Out of these first 25, please drop in the chat how many you got right. Give us an update on your accuracy so I know how to adjust difficulty going forward. And by the way, folks, if you're taking the LSAT coming up January, February, April, June, or beyond, you're looking for help, looking for guidance, I'm offering free private one-on-one LSAT tutoring lessons via Zoom to everybody out there watching this now or later. You can book your free call with me at unpluggedprep.com/start. Link below the video on YouTube, pinned in the chat on YouTube and in my bio on TikTok as well. Would love to help out and meet as many of you as I possibly can. See, folks are doing great here. Zuli got 22 out of 25. Luke got 24. Passion got 23. Pretty high accuracy considering the difficulty of these questions. You all are doing great. And got 19 for 20, also awesome. On to question 26. All associates reviewing case files verify every detail provided. What is the logical negation of this statement? A, most associates reviewing case files verify every detail. B, some associates reviewing case files skip verifying every detail. C, some associates reviewing case files verify every detail. Or D, all associates reviewing case files verify nearly every detail. When you have your answer, please drop it in the chat, A, B, C, or D. Some of these choices are tricky, looking for that polar opposite, but we want the logical opposite, of course. So don't just go around negating everything, negate the quantity-related words specifically. All becomes not all, or some do not. So choice B as in Bravo, saying some skip, is like saying some do not. So B as in Bravo is in fact the answer. See, Tony, you got it. Zuli, Passion, KD, Luke, Osvaldo, Michael, all saying B as in Bravo. I saw someone show C, but choice C is going from all to some without, when we want some do not specifically. So be careful of that small detail. B says skip. C is lacking the word skips. That's why C is wrong and B is right. On to 27. Most paralegals evaluating briefs include at least some optional remarks. What is the logical negation here? A, some paralegals evaluating briefs include optional remarks. B, no paralegals evaluating briefs include optional remarks. C, every paralegal evaluating briefs includes many optional remarks. Or D, at most half of paralegals evaluating briefs include optional remarks. When you have your answer, please drop it in the chat, A, B, C, or D. Note the word most in the original. Most means majority or more than half. Negation of majority or more than half is not more than half or maximum half, meaning at most half. So of course, D as in Delta is in fact correct. See, a ton of folks got it. Awesome. We got here Anne, KD, Michael, Passion, Luke, Autumn, Osvaldo, Zuli all saying D. D is in fact correct. Well done. On to 28. Some study partners coordinating sessions prepare updated outlines daily. What is the logical negation? A, no study partners coordinating sessions prepare updated outlines daily. B, some study partners coordinating sessions prepare updated outlines weekly. C, most study partners coordinating sessions prepare updated outlines daily. Or D, some study partners coordinating sessions rarely prepare updated outlines. Bit of word salad there. They're all quite similar to make it a little bit more difficult, but focus on the quantity word. Original says some, meaning at least one. Opposite of some is none, meaning zero. And so some becomes none. Only choice A says none or zero. So A is in fact correct. No study partner. Anne says A. Luke says A. Passion, Autumn, Osvaldo, Zuli, Michael, KD, all saying A. Well done, folks. Luke says we need to meet your pup. Yeah, in a better context when he's not barking in the middle of a class. Hopefully that wasn't too disruptive. But yeah, I'll bring him in sometimes, or at least a picture. I'll throw it up on the board. Awesome. On to number 29 now. No reviewers assigned summaries approve incomplete material at any time. What is the logical negation? A, all reviewers assigned summaries approve complete material every time. B, some reviewers assigned summaries reject incomplete material every time. C, some reviewers assigned summaries approve incomplete material at least once. Or D, no reviewers assigned summaries approve complete material at any time. So opposite of no reviewers would be some reviewers or at least one. So we want to knock out A and D. We're down to B and C. So we want specifically some reviewers approve incomplete material at any time. at least sometimes. Give you all a minute on this one. So yes, you all nailed it. Awesome. C, at least once. Every in B would be far too strong. Opposite of none is some, meaning at least once, at least sometimes. Even just once provides the counterexample to disprove the original. So C is the answer. Anne, Luke, KD, Autumn, Zuli, Passion, Michael, Osvaldo, all saying C. C is in fact correct. Awesome. On to 30. If L's classmates organize notes, Kim K's study partners categorize the accompanying summaries. What is the logical negation here? Again, we have a conditional statement. We want to negate the relationship or the requirement between the two parts. We want a situation where L's classmates organize the notes, yet Kim K's partners did not categorize. So we want a situation where, yes, they organized, but no, they did not categorize. That counterexample would disprove the validity of the conditional relationship between the parts. That counterexample destroys the relationship and is a proper negation. So I see a ton of folks got it. Awesome. The answer is in fact B. We got KD, Michael, Luke, Passion, Zuli, Osvaldo, Autumn, all saying B. B is in fact correct. Well done. We're 30 in so far. Out of these first 30, drop in the chat how many you got right out of the number that you did. Just give us all a sense of your overall accuracy on these. I know they were a bit tougher than previous classes. Are you all finding the difficulty level here good? Is this a good way to go about it going forward for this level or similarity of difficulty? Do you want harder? Do you want easier? And I can adjust going forward. But you're all doing pretty well on these despite that. Passion got 28 for 30. Luke got 29. Zuli got 27. Michael got 29. KD says good on the difficulty. Awesome. All right. So I'll try to keep that in mind. Tomorrow we're doing reading comprehension. They're changing up the topic from today. But for now, we're going to keep going, doing more negations specifically. Michael says he wants more difficult. Zuli says it's good. Luke says harder. So maybe similar, maybe a little bit harder. But we're doing these every weekday, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 Central, 11 Pacific, same time as today. So if you want more harder questions, just keep showing up and we'll do some harder ones. Autumn asks for flaws. We're going to do flaws on Friday, so stay tuned for that. But we are going to cover more flaws. On to 31. All associates reviewing case files verify at least some cited material. What is the logical negation? A, most associates reviewing case files verify some cited material. B, every associate reviewing case files verifies all cited material. C, some associates reviewing case files verify no cited material. Or D, no associates reviewing case files verify any cited material. So when you have your answer, please drop it in the chat, A, B, C, or D. If you're not sure, just drop a question mark, but do commit to an answer. Original says all, negation is not all, or some do not. And so a choice saying most, a choice saying every, probably not going to be right. We want some do not or not all as our answer, which is, of course, choice C. Alana, you got it. Awesome. Michael, Zuli, Osvaldo, Luke, Autumn, Passion, KD, all saying C. C is, in fact, correct. Well done. On to 32. Most paralegals preparing motions include every required section. What is the logical negation? At most, half of paralegals include every required section. B, a strong majority of paralegals include every required section. C, some paralegals skip at least one required section sometimes. Or D, every paralegal preparing motions includes every required section. When you have your answer, please drop it in the chat, A, B, C, or D. If you're not sure, just drop a question mark, but do commit to something. So original says most. Negation is not most, not a majority, or maximum half, meaning half or fewer, as the exception to the majority, which of course is A. I see a lot of folks got it. Fantastic. Michael, Osvaldo, Autumn, Luke, Passion, KD, Zuli, all saying A. A is in fact correct, folks. Well done. On to 33. Some classmates evaluating outlines document each noted inconsistency. What is the logical negation? A, many classmates evaluating outlines document each noted inconsistency. B, some classmates evaluating outlines ignore minor noted inconsistencies. C, most classmates evaluating outlines document each noted inconsistency. Or D, no classmates evaluating outlines document any noted inconsistency. Original says some. Opposite of some is none or zero. We want to look for a choice saying that. which choice says none or zero? And if they say many or most, not going to be a proper negation. Of course, you can knock those out right off the bat. The answer, in fact, is D, of course, no classmates. I see a ton of you got it. We have here Passion, Autumn, Osvaldo, Luke, Zuli, Michael all saying D. Well done. D is, in fact, correct. On to 34. No reviewers assessing briefs approve any version containing unresolved errors. What is the logical negation? A, every reviewer assessing briefs approves only error-free versions. B, some reviewers assessing briefs approve versions containing unresolved errors. C, most reviewers assessing briefs reject versions containing unresolved errors. Or D, no reviewers assessing briefs approve versions with any errors. Original says no or none, meaning zero. Opposite of none is some, meaning at least one. That's the prephrase, that's the prediction. Look for a choice saying that, which of course is B as in Bravo. Some. See a ton of you got it. Awesome. Michael, Osvaldo, Zuli, Passion, Luke, Autumn, all saying B. B is in fact correct. Well done. On to 35. If Kim K receives corrections, then her study partners update their reference notes. Let's negate this. A, if partners update reference notes, Kim K received corrections. B, if Kim K receives corrections, partners immediately update reference notes. C, Kim K receives corrections and partners ignore updating reference notes. Or D, if partners do not update notes, Kim K misread corrections. When you have your answer, please drop it in the chat, A, B, C, or D. If you're not sure, just drop a question mark, but do commit to something. And of course, we're looking for the counter example to negate the requirement here. We want a situation where Kim received corrections, yet the partners did not update their reference notes. And of course, that is choice C as in Charlie. It is not any of the conditional choices. So that's the giveaway if you're looking for a giveaway on this one. C is the only choice that does not contain the if. If you're looking carefully, you'll notice that. The answer, of course, is C as in Charlie. Ton of folks got it. KD, Luke, Passion, Autumn, Zuli, Michael, Osvaldo, all saying C. C is in fact correct, folks. Well done. Please update in the chat how many you got right out of the number that you did, out of the 35 or however many that you were able to join us for. Tomorrow, same time, same place, 2 p.m. Eastern, 1 Central, 11 Pacific. We're going to be doing LSAT reading comprehension drills. So come back for that, either on YouTube or TikTok, wherever you like to follow this. And if you find this helpful, of course, please spread the word. The only way this grows is through word of mouth. I don't do any advertising for these. The algorithm doesn't really boost lives because they can't run ads during them. And so please spread the word. The more folks who join, the more I'll be able to keep doing these and expand them over time. See, Passion got 33. Osvaldo got 35. Awesome, folks. I'll see you all tomorrow, same time, same place. If you want to book the free call with me, link below the video. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care.